It's that time again. This time I've got a stone that I received from a friend in Colorado, I believe. I think it's Colorado or Arizona, but I'm pretty sure it's Colorado. I think this is a fine-grained basalt. It looks like some sort of volcanic rock. I've never knapped this with natural tools, so that's what I'm going to do. I've got a couple projects I'll be doing. Hopefully I can get them all on video today. I still have time for auction items and other side projects. Yeah. I don't know how common this stuff is. Maybe it's extremely rare. Maybe it's very common. I don't know. Well, let's see. It's not that difficult to knap, but it has flaws. In the material, it's got internal cracking issues. The hammerstone just rolled away. Yeah, internal issues sometimes. Although I can't tell if that was me or the stone. What appears to be an internal flaw. I don't know. Anyway, I did take off some flakes several weeks ago. I can't remember how that went. Let's see if I can get a thinner, longer flake. Yeah, it's not good to keep glass stuff down where your hammerstones could potentially ricochet. Dang it, I lost that one too. Why am I losing the grip on the hammerstones? Because I just sat down and plopped the camera in front of me. I'm not even warmed up for this. Yeah, sometimes you gotta get warmed up. Losing the grip on your hammerstones and on your mind. Yeah. Yeah. That should have gone. I don't know. Maybe I messed it up. Put some incipient cracks in there. Is it easy to knap with the hammerstone? Yeah, if I could just get a good area, I think it'll be relatively easy. And I gotta grip this so when I follow through, it doesn't follow through and out of my hand. That wasn't too bad. I can use some of those flakes. The goal is to make a San Pedro at lateral dart point. Yeah, I'm using some heavy gusto with these hits. Yes, indeed. That's way too high. Get a little bit lower. Oh, I see what happened. I did have an effect. I went a little bit lower and I had an effect again. But I meant to do that, right? That's a controlled crack right there. And this is a controlled reverse flake. These are all controlled. Oh yes, I got 10 years of experience, so that means all this stuff, I meant to do it. Right, you guys that are into the controlled flaking stuff? Am I going to start a rant again? Am I going to fuss about that stuff? You know it. You know I am. Alright, so which one am I going to use? Which of these? Oh gosh, should I use this one? Because sometimes these are the hardest ones to work. The ones that already have the basic shape. you kind of think they're going to be easy, and they end up being the bane of your existence. Yeah, these little thin flakes are the bane of my existence. That's why I give them away. Yeah. Really? Really? No, not really. I'm just I'm kidding, right? But sometimes it feels that way. That these so-called easy ones, are often very difficult. Oh yeah, before I continue, I did find my coarse abrader. For you guys that are worried about me. Where is it? I need a proof of life. On my coarse abrader, I found my coarse abrader for my forbidden tools. My forbidden steel tools. Yeah, so good to find stuff. That's some of the best anti-anxiety medication you can get when you accomplish something or find something. I tried everything else talking about anxiety stuff. I started with the last video. The best anxiety medicine is accomplishment or something that causes some relief, like when you find something you lost a long time ago and it's been causing you misery. The only thing that alleviates anxiety, it seems, is accomplishment or getting rid of the source of your anxiety. Sometimes they're the same thing. Why talk about anxiety? Because anxiety leads to a bunch of other problems, right? Now, a lot of times when you get rid of the other problems, people bugging you on purpose or other things, you still get the anxiety. So, how do you deal with it? Well, you do stuff that accomplishes something. Yeah. So, is this big enough for the point I want to make? I think it, yeah, I mean, it is big enough, but it's not. Oh, it doesn't have enough room. I'm going to have to really squeeze the last ounce of energy from the tools to get this thin down, right? I got to do very strong, very powerful hits on this in very small areas. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff most people have to work with. 3 inches or less. This is not even 3 inches. Right, let's see. Do I have the tape measure? Because I keep reminding myself, I gotta weigh this stuff before I start and weigh it after I finish. That way I can know the percentages of beginning and end. I did it once before, I tested it once before, and I didn't keep doing it, but the yield on material, you know, start to finish, is between 5 and 10% for me on a good day. Sometimes it's as low as 3%. Yeah, 2 3/4 inches. Low as 3% yield on the material I start with. And of course, there is a possibility of 0% yield on material when you end up not making anything. So I mean, I forgot to weigh the nodule when I started, and I was going to. Should I just put all the flakes together? No, because I'm not going to do more than one piece out of this stuff. But eventually what I'm planning on doing is weighing everything. when I start and finish. But just for you guys that don't know, my yield is 5 to 10%. If I'm doing 20%, that's really good. If I'm working on slabs, it's a little bit higher. I think it can go as high as 50%. You know, you only lose 50% of the material that you're working with when you're doing a slab type stuff. And if you're flake over grind, you get even better. As long as you don't snap the whole thing in half, which happens. Or you don't make a mistake with the flaking and you can't get rid of the step fracture. Then yeah, it's 0%. But in the professional world, slabs are the thing. Now, this is not going to be easy, and it might be painful to watch as I stumble through this, because like I said, I have not napped this particular type of material with natural tools, and I cannot guarantee that I'll be doing this like I know what I'm doing. Okay, all right. And if I get any really bad mistakes, I'm going to pretend it's not a mistake and call it a controlled blah blah blah. Controlled. A controlled blah blah blah. Yep. Just to make fun of people. You make fun of people? Oh yes. I don't go onto their channels and make fun of them there. I make fun of them here. If you catch me over on someone else's channel making fun of them, call me out. Sometimes you'll see me up on other people's channels and it looks like I might be making fun of them, but we got this little friendship thing going. Little friendly discourse. So yeah, if you want to go over around and look and then say, hey, look, you were making fun of this guy over here. See, you're not so good after all, huh? I can chuckle and know how foolish you are because it's an inside joke. Yeah, this guy's a buddy of mine. All right, so, but a lot of my friends from Texas, they don't have YouTube channels. They're what they call stealth nappers or stealth snappers. They make beautiful points, but they don't put them up on YouTube. They don't make videos. They can thin down something like this in 5 seconds and they never put up videos. Yeah. Some of you stealth nappers out there, way better than I am. Watching my videos. I know some of you guys. Personally. Why am I mentioning that? Well, I don't know, maybe pressure's on now. I want you to make some videos. So I can go over there and make fun of you. Poke some fun. I don't normally do that. I'll make fun of you on my channel. I'll call you out, call you crazy, or complain about the antler people. I'll do it here on this channel. I don't care who you are. No, I don't care what kind of credentials you got. No, I'm shameless. All right, so what am I doing here? What am I doing? I know what I'm not doing. I'm not zooming in, but I didn't zoom in on purpose. It's controlled zoom. I didn't zoom in because I controlled what I want you to see. Yeah. And if it was blurry, it's control blurry. Yeah. Okay. So what is it? Why is it important at this stage? Because everyone can get to this stage, pretty much. You're napping for 4 weeks, 4 days, whatever. You can get to this stage. How do you get to the next stage? You know, you can't put this on a stick and think it's going to do any good. This next stage, this transition, is vital, crucial. What do I do? What do you do? Well, I hate to break it to you, but you cannot teach this next stage. Can't teach it. You just gotta look. You gotta see. You see, and you gotta do. Monkey see, monkey do. You've got to do. I don't even have to explain anything. You just do what I'm doing. You may not get this kind of flaking, but you get yourself an elk antler, 2 elk antlers. These are not as expensive as other types of antler, especially the moose. Get rid of the moose idea. If you have moose antler, great. If you don't, get the elk antler. And you don't need that much. Sometimes you can go to the store and buy dog chews that look just like this, of this size. Of course, they're going to be 15 to 20 bucks a piece, right? But, it's not much. It's just this size. The mallet and the flaker. And you do 90% of your flaking with indirect percussion. All right? I start everybody off with indirect percussion when I'm teaching one-on-one. Why? Why not pressure? Pressure takes its toll on you right away without much result because it takes a lot of practice. So I start them off with indirect percussion, especially when they're very young nappers. They don't have the barrier of, it looks odd, man, when you get this thing behind your knee like that. Just use a rocker punch. That's what you're doing anyway, man. You're just using a rocker punch. Yeah. Your powers of observation are lacking a little bit there, dude. But yeah, it's very similar to a rocker punch. That's what I did start with. But it was insufficient. I had to think of a different method. A rocker punch is limited in its ability to withstand extremely hard hits, and it has a little pad in there, so it's it's pad assisted, you can call it, just like many other indirect percussion techniques are pad assisted or pad supported. This is not pad assisted or pad supported, number one. Number two, this is a horizontal punch, which is different from a vertical punch. Right? Now there's a horizontal punch in the rocker punch. Yep. It's attached to a device. The rocker or the horizontal punch is attached within the device. This is not attached within the device. I'm holding this with my knee. Is there a difference? Yeah, because it's not part of a device. This is flexible. Someone else can hold this. I can hold this or someone else can hold this, but it's being held by something that's not a device. That's a difference. That's number two. It's a little more complicated and involved, right? But yeah, it's not a device. This is being held by a human on the other end. Now you guys out there who think this is a version of a rocker punch miss those two aspects. This is not pad supported, and this is being held by a human on the other end. All right, I got flexibility here. I can do all kinds of things. All right, I can turn this around. I can move it by command. This anchor point, I can move it on command. either someone else can hold it and I say, okay, do this and do that. It's being held by a human. Or behind my knee, it's being held by a human. There's flexibility in this. It's not part of a device. Okay? The range of flexibility is crucial. And number 3, what's the third? Well, there's more than just 2. There's 3, maybe 4 major differences. A third major difference. I lost my train of thought. But there's a third. The third major difference is some of these horizontal punches are flexible. There's an amount of flexibility in the punch itself or in the tip itself. Flexibility may or may not be part of the intent on the design. Like I do have punches that are flexible and shock absorbing. All right. Now this one here, very little flexibility, almost 0. But with this one, more flexibility. And the thinner it goes, the more flexible it is. And yes, it does make a difference. The flexibility does make a difference. So that's number 3. There's probably other aspects of my technique that are different than the techniques that I started with, which makes my technique distinctive. All right? Okay. So that's why I use it a lot. It's extremely versatile. It's not just because I like doing it this way. I wish there was a better way. Well, there is by using metals, but and there might be another way that I haven't discovered yet using other devices or whatever. But I use it a lot because it's versatile. It's not because I'm stuck in using this particular method because of the method. I'm stuck using it because of its versatility, not necessarily because I'm used to it. Hammerstone work is also very versatile, and I use hammerstone, or I use direct percussion, but I use something called a freehand style of direct percussion, which is also not pad supported. Now, you can consider my hand a pad? Yeah, you can consider it a pad, but often if I support the piece where the flake is going to go, it causes a step fracture. So it's detrimental. It's not advantageous for me to use my gloves as a pad. I'm just holding the workpiece with the minimum amount of interference, supposedly. Sometimes I don't always accomplish it. And there are other different things about my style that distinguish it from the quote-unquote proper way of doing this natural tool stuff. One thing that drives the antler people crazy is the opportunistic platforms. I don't develop platforms specifically every single time. I look for opportunities. I'm opportunistic. I also try to keep in mind what the artifacts look like. And it looks like they did very little preparation, very little grinding. And they were very opportunistic. So if they were opportunistic, I'm going to be opportunistic. Why? Well, believe it or not, I do have this thing where I want to know how they did it in the past. I do want to know. Even though I use steel and all that, I still do want to know how they did it in the past. Yeah. Why? Because I don't want someone to tell me blah blah blah, this and this, and this is how they used to do it, and then I trust them and they were not on the up and up with me. It's not how they would do it, obviously, because you're producing points that don't look like they used to look. So you've been, maybe not on purpose, but you've been not telling me how they used to do it. So now I gotta figure it out on my own. Wasted all that time watching all those videos. Yeah. And there's stuff that you ignored. You know, some of these nappers are ignoring certain things. Like what, you say? Like the copper culture. Totally ignored the copper culture. And those of you who don't know what that is, still don't know what that is, it's 2022. You don't know what the Native American copper culture was. There's a reason for that. It's on purpose. There's no excuse. It was an extremely important part of the culture. Maybe, and not just for the Flintknapping, which was probably a very small part of it, but for the ceremonies, the copper, you can shine up natural copper. You can make stuff out of it. It looks like a powerful, magical thing. It looks like the sun if you shine it up. You can also make mirrors out of it and see yourself. It's an important part of the culture. It's totally ignored. And yes, arrowheads were made of copper sometimes. Little dart points were made of copper sometimes. Yes, little dart points. I think I saw a small one. I gotta look into that again. And there are copper celts or axe heads. The points themselves, I think I saw a barbed copper point. I think it was for fishing. But anyway, it's very rare to see an actual arrowhead other than true arrow points made of copper. All right, it's rare to see them that are not the true arrowheads. But I think there was an archaic fish point, or it was barbed, so it looks like it was used for a fish. It may not have been. Anyway, let's get to the pressure flaking aspect of this before I ruin it and create an island that's impossible to remove. Yeah, with steel I could get in there and pry that off maybe, but when it's not, when I can't pry that off, I had to flake it off somehow. So I've got to lose some width. I maybe send in a flake here. But if I can't, it is going to look like what they used to look like, because they had these lumps that they couldn't get out on difficult material, especially with quartzite and similar stuff. So let's see how this new pressure flaker works here. And a lot of you guys that are following my channel for a long time, I switched the material on you. It went from steel to antler. So many of you, I can tell many of you are probably not going to watch every video now, which is fine. It's fine. But just if you're still watching, just know that I'm going to be doing some metal knapping videos on the channel in the future, especially when I get into the copper tools. I misplaced all my copper, and it might still be back in Texas. But yeah, I don't know where any of my copper pieces are. I have a bunch of copper in the bag or a box that I was supposedly gonna start making some metal wood pressure flakers with, and I cannot find the copper. I have copper nails, I have copper electrical components, I got copper rods. I got a bunch of copper, but I can't find any of it. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, this pressure flaker is not too bad. I really got to use the leg pressure and do this really with a firm wrist in a very controlled, very cramped kind of way. But it is working. But I'm out of time on this segment. The next segment is going to be refining the edges with the pressure and then see if I can flatten it out some more. Okay.